I was wondering if we could do some exploration on the solar plexus.
Sure.
Um, like I can really relate like the stories that I tell myself, that are related to this chakra. I think
Yeah.
um, around the control.
Yeah.
Like I'm I feel like I'm in a controlling environment, and I'm being controlled by my family, for instance.
Mm. So just go there and put your attention there, in the solar plexus. And just give it some space. If we weren't online, like, and there weren't other people listening, and I was okay with overexposing you, like, I would get you to really speak out your thoughts and your feelings that are there. But because we're online, I'm going to keep it a little bit light, so not go too deep.
I mean, um, like you like I feel like if I do expose, like it will release something.
It will what, sorry?
That if I do expose, like it will uh, like release the
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I work with people in that way. Yeah, saying it is such a relief. But saying it and then waking up tomorrow, you might not feel so good.
Yeah. And this, I think, like the whole idea, like working with like my personal self. Like I used to when I thought like when I was like listening to Muji,
Yeah.
and I felt like I was really expanding, and there was like no problem. Like I felt peace, and I'm really confused lately. Like I've been listening to a lot of teachers and speakers, and yeah.
So if you felt really peaceful with Muji and really expanded with Muji, why did you start listening to other teachers?
Yeah, it's because uh, again, like maybe it's like shame or guilt. Like like after I had like a serious like fight with my parents, I felt like it would bring them relief, and it did. But yeah, I'm just so confused.
So I don't get that. Like, why did you? What? I don't understand your reply. So my question is why did you stop? Why did you start listening to other teachers? So you thought it would bring relief to your parents because you were too expanded?
No, like after the fight that I had with my family,
Yeah.
I started listening to you, and like I really resonated with you, and yes, when and then I started to identify with the whole body structure and stuff, and it became so heavy.
Huh. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it does.
So, so so let's back
And
up because sometimes we
yes,
don't tell ourselves honest stories. We're not even aware that we're not telling honest stories. But let's just go back. So you were listening to Muji and you began to feel very expanded
yes, yes.
and free.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had a big fight with your family, and then you started listening to me, and things
Yes.
changed. But let's just go back to like why you fought with your family. Like, what was the
Um,
big fight? Like, so why did that
like
stop you listening from?
like it was like the exact like like the like it was like I felt it was like really the period of the time. It was like I was actually losing my identity. Like really, I felt that, like expanding in that way.
Yeah.
And
Like, and what was happening?
maybe they triggered something, and like they felt that, and they had like the urge to like come in and like face me and say he's the devil and stuff. And it was crazy. Like, yeah,
So what was happening with losing
it
your
was like
identity?
with who? With Muji?
No, before your parents came in and did that, like what was
Yes.
happening? Like when your whole identity was collapsing, like what was happening in your life? Like how did your parents
No,
know
I
that was
didn't.
doing you were doing that?
Mm, um, oh yeah, they perhaps like um wait, can you ask me again what?
How did how did your parents know that you were into Muji? Like what was happening when you were losing your
Yeah, because
identity?
I was talking to them about it, and they had an idea, and like I got like excited about this non-duality topic, and I thought like if I introduce it to them, like they will benefit from it, and from that point it got like worse,
Yeah. Are you,
basically.
and are you not doing what they want at the moment?
No, they're like I don't want to like criticize and stuff, but like they drink a lot and everything. And yeah, but again, like I think that's what I feel. Yeah, like I feel, I don't know, like when I criticize them, like it pains me, like I feel
Yeah.
it.
Um, you didn't need to criticize them. Then that's really sweet that
Yes.
you feel like that. Like that you have empathy for them. Like
And
but
I felt like the urge to forgive them for a long time, but I'm not able to, and I feel like I have to keep on.
yeah. Um. So um. What's the conflict between your parents? Do your parents want you to leave home, or do they what's causing the conflict? Is it that you're trying to change them to make them healthier?
No, not anymore. Like I got the message.
Yeah. And why do you have to interact with them so much? Are you still very young? I'm going to find out you're like 13. I'm joking, your voice is too deep.
No, I'm actually 18.
18.
Yes.
Okay. And are you in education or working?
No,
Neither.
neither. Yes.
And how long has that been the case?
Like since I finished school,
When did you finish school?
uh, like 2 months ago.
Okay. And so now it's like this period where you have to go out in the world and make choices and
Like it's a period like between like I'm going to like I have to go to the army like in few months.
I see.
Yes, but and that's another like deal for me because I don't want to go.
Are
Like
you
and here,
you're from Israel?
yes,
I see.
like
Yeah.
here we are supposed to go, like, and I want to like try and convince them like why I don't want to go, and there's like a certain percentage that yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe it's not going to like pass through.
Yeah. Um,
I
but
think like they're just stories, and I feel like it's to do with the fear of survival, basically.
yeah. And you go to, oh yeah. And you go to like, what do you have to do in the army? What's your position?
Like I don't know till like maybe prior 1 month, like they send you certain
Mm.
roles, jobs
Yeah.
that you have to fulfill,
Yeah.
and you decide, I think, like from like few roles, like
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I don't think
yes,
there's.
and
I
like
don't
being
think there's an.
against that, you know.
Yeah, and I don't think there's an easy way out, because I think if you don't go, it's prison, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Or you get to say you're mentally ill or something. That's your two
yes,
options.
yes, yes.
But if you say you're mentally ill, you have that for the rest of your life on your history.
No, I read about it, and like it seems like you don't get like nothing from it. Like it doesn't do anything for your like for your
But is it honest?
it is like I'm really suffering, from anxiety.
Right. And how long's that anxiety been going on for?
Um, like 1 year, maybe a little more even. Like yes,
Yeah.
like intense, and it
Right.
was actually because of drugs.
I see. Yeah. What sort of drugs?
At first it was like weed,
Yeah.
and then it came to like heavier stuff, not like heroin, but magic mushrooms,
Yeah.
acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you stop taking that?
I mean, I might smoke weed like once in a while, but I'm not affected by that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no urges like
Yeah. Yeah. So
like
you
that's the only thing that I care about. And yeah.
so you're in this situation where you're in conflict with your parents because you want to not go and they want you to go.
That's not the main problem,
It's not.
but maybe it's a part of it,
I
but
see.
it's not the main. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's issues there. So so when you listened to Muji, you began to expand, and all these problems began to disappear, right? Like
On the
listening.
surface, like
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and it is really. I mean, there is an element to it, like your essence is free. And when you were listening to Muji, and I can imagine that you are beginning to resonate with your essence. There's something deeper that is totally free and non-identified and doesn't mind whatever happens in this life. It's just
Yes.
love. It's here. It's sitting there. And so when you were listening to him, you could
Like
sense
yes,
that.
it was like a wonder, like for the first time that I heard
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and that's really beautiful. But the problem is that this stuff will keep pulling you back in until it's dealt with. Like
yes,
you're
like
never
I
going to
feel
have a perfect life.
in a way, like I think I got the message that I was like really expanding, and the family like came in and like things broken down. Like maybe it was some kind of message.
Yeah, that this stuff has to be looked at. And it's so good. You're so lucky because you're 18 years old to look at this stuff now, because your body is really flexible, and so you can change really quickly. As you get older, you get more fixed in your ways,
Mm.
and so when you get into reconditioning yourself at a young age, you can change really quickly. And I know that because I started in this subject really young, and it's much easier to change when you're younger, on the conditioned human level. Like if you've been thinking or having anxiety for 30 years, it's a
Yeah.
lot bigger wave to deal with than when you're 18. So I think it's really great. I think you should carry on listening to non-duality, but be really clear that non-duality is beyond the human, and it is the freedom that's right here. Like your essence now isn't the isn't it isn't divided, isn't limited, it isn't separate from my words, from what you're hearing now, from what you're seeing, from what you're experiencing. Like your essence is not two. But on the human level, if your body is programmed to anxiety, if you don't deal with that anxiety, non-duality is not going to fix that anxiety. It could
And
relieve it to an extent, but you've got to understand it and push your body into a different direction and a different way of dealing with things. Like anxiety is predominantly caused, I think, from over-release of particular hormones in the body. It's particular stress hormones. I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than what
yes,
I'm talking
cortisol.
about. Yeah, and it's just a habit and retraining your body not to keep releasing it. And it's also that chemical is often what makes people ill as well, like physically ill. So it's just seeing that and retraining it. So understanding how and why the anxiety is caused, like what's the triggers, like what's triggering you, seeing that it's not true, that they're thoughts, and then putting yourself in a different direction. So experiencing it in the body, knowing where it is in the body. So if it's anxiety, it will more than likely be in the sacral chakra, and then putting yourself in a different energy by telling yourself the opposite to that sacred chakra. So you're feeling in fear, you're feeling anxiety. So saying, I am strong, I can look after myself.
Yes, and it's like stress around the sexuality and stuff
Yeah,
too.
yeah. There's a
Yes,
lot we could talk about, but I don't want to overexpose you because also grounding you as well. Like so with the sacral chakra and with the root chakra to give more strength, like grounding you into the earth so you feel more strong,
yes,
you feel
that's
more
I'm doing
present.
that. Yes,
Yeah. There's so much you can learn. Like I think if you do have the time before you go to the army, like researching the chakras, like understanding the chakras, understanding what your body's saying, and then trying to move them into the more positive. And you don't want to stay in the positive. What you're
yeah,
trying to do
and you
is
know,
getting them to
sorry,
neutral.
so Lisa,
Yeah,
I think like the army stuff, like it's really triggering me too.
yeah, I can imagine. But I think that you get the option to have a lightweight job, right? Like I
Um,
don't think you necessarily have
I mean,
to.
obviously, like the best option like would be like to consult like a therapist there and like talk him like explain to him why I don't want to like go, and it's possible to like to get a how's it called like
Certificate.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you
And
think
I'm
that,
hoping for that.
yeah, but also you can do a very menial job. I think, like like I'm not pro you going into the army. Like it maybe sounds like that. It's just that I know, I'm pretty sure that that will have quite strong consequences on you
Yes,
if you don't do it.
like it's social anxiety.
Yeah,
Like it was based like around social anxiety
yeah,
when it was developing,
yeah. There's
and now
some,
I'm by myself usually, and like that's the
yeah,
like main vibration I think.
yeah. And there's so much we could talk about, but I don't want to go too deep with you when we're live on the internet. But
And like I get like crazy like dreams even like
yeah,
that no like symbols I guess
yeah,
like I should get away from my family, they're really controlling, I should go my own way and everything like that.
yeah. But you didn't, for a lot of social anxieties, the therapy that,
Like I think I need like really to ground myself
yeah,
and then I will be able to go on.
yeah. Well, I also think it's great to contact the therapist and to speak to them, and not necessarily about getting out of the army, but just speak to them honestly about your experience and just
Yes,
see what they have to say and try to find someone that's really
yes,
open minded, like a therapist that, I mean, I don't know what you're allowed to have in Israel, like if the government or how it works, but finding a therapist that's open minded, not just to Western medicine, but also Eastern medicine as well, and and see what their recommendations are. I think it's really important that you deal with this side and don't just bliss out with non-duality. I'm really glad that you called in. I know it's painful to deal with it because it's difficult and heavy
Yeah.
feelings, but you're so young and there's so much out there for you, and even though it's really intense now and you feel like it's out of control now, like
Like, my parents made me to go to a psychologist, like
yeah,
psychiatric, I think it was like, and we were talking like, and I was telling her the story, and she basically just prescribed me medication.
yeah, that's what I meant. Like try to go to someone with Eastern.
Yeah, but
Um, yeah,
like I don't know
ideas.
if we have any of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do in Israel. Like I'm sure it is there. Like maybe there's another Israeli person listening that if they have any recommendations, yeah, because medicine can numb it in the beginning, but it's not going to fix it
No, I did not
in the
even
long run.
take it.
Yeah,
Like when it was that period when I was listening to Muji, and like I was telling my mother like everything is fine, but
yeah.
yeah,
But
it was like,
I
but
think there's we could talk about a lot, but I am concerned about exposing you too much on the internet. Like I'll most probably delete this conversation so it doesn't go up on the internet like this last part because I always feel this concern for people
mm,
and I want them like it might be okay now, but in like 6 months' time you might regret it, or a year's time you might regret it.
mm,
So, but I think it's really great that you're asking these questions and that we're speaking. And I think there is somebody out there. I'm sure someone will contact me after the talk that can recommend someone from Israel, and then I can pass that on to you. There's books, there's resources on the information, and in the end, it's down to you if your heart is open and really wants to change these dynamics, because you're right at the beginning of your life. So, like, if you change the
yeah,
way you
and
see
there's
your
the part that's
world,
resisting that
yeah,
to go to actually talk to someone.
yeah. But if you, I mean, you're talking to me, so you can do it.
Yeah,
But if you change it now, like if you change the way you see the world on the human level now, it will actually change the way you experience the world and the life that you have, because you attract what you think and what you feel about the world. You'll attract that into your life. So, like in the sense that if you have lots of anxiety, then you most likely won't socialize with people, so you'll be very remote and very alone. So if you can get in control of that and you can understand the source of it and what causes it, then it doesn't mean that will hide yourself away from the world or from people, that you can socialize and go out there a lot more. There is so much out there for everybody. It's just that you've got to really seriously ask yourself and commit to yourself that you want to change and that you want to do it on the human level, and not use non-duality in any way as an excuse.
and
Non-duality is
like maybe I
beautiful.
can speak to you, like book a private session.
Yeah, I would be delighted to speak to you. Like I'm super happy to speak to you, like in a private
Yeah,
session.
yeah,
But if your parents, and if you need somebody, anybody that's listening from Israel, that can recommend somebody, a psychologist that is like a Western psychologist, but with also Eastern philosophy in there as well. That's not just going to prescribe pills, because you might find that for the army or your parents that you need to go to someone that's in Israel. So we can also advertise for that. But I most probably I could talk to you a lot about what's happening with you now, but I'm just reluctant to when other people are listening.
mm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, okay, Lisa.
Well, thank you for
Thank you
calling and
very
being
much.
so
Thank you very
open.
much. Yes.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll talk to you, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
bye. Bye.